Good evening. My name is Andre Payne, and today I will be speaking about the truth about the death penalty. My general purpose is to persuade. My specific purpose is to share my views on the death penalty and persuade my listeners to go against the laws put in place for the death penalty. My question of policy is, why is the death penalty still an active form of punishment? And my proposition is, while discussing the capital punishment, many should consider the lives that are being altered because of an outdated method of discipline. And my organizational pattern is problem solution. Now, before we get started, I'd like to ask you all, does capital punishment tend to the security of the people? Capital punishment was first introduced to the U.S. in the year 1630 by the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and it has since been a popular way of punishing criminals that are essentially the worst of the worst. Capital punishment hardens the heart of men and makes the loss of life seem light. And now, as you may already know, capital punishment has been around for generations, long before we were even born. But many don't know that one of the first official documented laws for it was etched on a stone tablet, along with 281 other laws. These laws were called the Code of Hammurabi, but several other documents such as Torah, the Old Testament of the Bible, and the writings of Draco supported capital punishment. Getting the death penalty before humans decided to show a slight bit of mercy used to mean that you were hung by your neck, stoned, or even beheaded in front of all your peers. Capital punishment comes in many different forms. But in the end, it all comes down to one common goal, and that is to take someone's life after they have committed a crime. There is a problem within the justice system, and in this speech, I'm going to present information to you that will prove that the death penalty is an outdated method of punishing those who were deemed worthy of it. Capital punishment is an all-around bad idea and should be abolished. Now, first, I will talk about how a capital punishment system is faulty. Next, I will talk about the reasons why capital punishment hasn't been done away with. And lastly, I will talk about how we can change that. Now, there's a problem. And the problem with legally taking a person's life, according to the University of Miami Law Review written by Vincent R. Jones, the death penalty is used for three things, and that's deterrence, retribution, and closure for the victims. Now, many believe that if you use one as an example, the rest will follow suit. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because crime rates are sharply increasing by the year. Now, they could be doing it for closure for the victims, but in a case study done at the University of Minnesota, only 2.5% of victims receive an increased closure post-execution date. Now, the only logical reason I can see what happens for retribution is because every action has an opposite and equal reaction, but I don't think death should be the equivalent, no matter how heinous the crime may be. From what I could tell, the death penalty doesn't have any positive upside to it, and not only does it cause greater pain and trauma to the victim and their families, but also to the families of the offender. This is how I think we should solve the problem. After reading what licensed professionals had to say about this matter, I feel that the death penalty is not only unconstitutional, but is also morally wrong. Capital punishment literally goes against the Eighth Amendment. And for those of you that don't know what it says specifically, it says that excessive bail, excessive fines, and cruel and unusual punishment are prohibited. The government officials should come together to find an alternative to the death penalty and abolish it completely. If that doesn't work, then we could protest and hold rallies to make sure our voice is heard. And while we're at it, we can also take the matters to the polls and our local government officials to express our concerns and exercise our right to voice our opinions. In conclusion, today I have spoken about why my audience should fight against capital punishment. First, I explained the reason why the government invokes capital punishment on those who are imprisoned for essentially the worst crimes imaginable. And then I briefly went over the few solutions that were the most obvious. Now, I would like you all to go out and look up the information for yourself so you won't be going off word of mouth. I also encourage you to look at the opposite point of view so you won't have a one-sided opinion on this topic. And once you've done that, I urge you to make your voice heard on this subject and advocate against the act of capital punishment. And with that being said, I conclude my speech. Thank you.